Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about the future. Now if you're new to my channel, hi, my name's Amber, I go to the University of Greenwich. I'm currently in my third year studying events management, and if you don't already know, because I've probably said it like 50 times on this channel, but I'm graduating very soon. I graduate on the 20th of April. It's been extended with everything going on. It was supposed to be the 3rd of April, which by the way is next Friday, so yeah, it's come around very quickly. And since then, all of my family and friends, a lot of you guys and just people in general have been asking me like, what's the plan for after uni, what do I want to do, what job do I want to do, and everything around that. So I thought there's probably loads of you out there in the same position and also like wanting to know, as well as like people asking you. So I just thought it'd be fun to have a little chat about it, let you know that I'm going through the struggles too, trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do with the rest of my life. So yeah, I just thought it'd be a bit of fun, but I have got a list of your questions on my phone as per usual, so I'm just going to whiz through those and just kind of answer them. I guess that's kind of what you do in a Q&A, so yeah. I've just turned the brightness down. I don't know if that's any better. Whatever, we're getting with it. It's like such a bright day outside, which makes my soul so happy, but it's always so hard to film in because the sun doesn't really know what it wants to do. Okay, so the first question I usually get is, are you planning on doing a master's? And I also get a lot of questions just about like masters in general. No is the answer to that. I'm not planning on doing a master's. I completely understand why people would at this stage. So like throughout my whole university I was like, no way am I doing a master's. Only because I think events management, a master's isn't really necessary for my field. And also I don't want to have to pay the extra student debt and anything like that. But I understand that you kind of get to this stage and you're like, maybe I should just do a master's, because then at least you've got another few years to try and figure out what the hell you're going to do. So yeah, I'm not planning on doing a master's. I know in certain industries it's like required, like the medical field and all of that, and I completely understand why people would decide to do a master's, just because it's kind of what you know, if that makes sense. Like you've only ever known studying and education and university, so to be thrown out of that at the end is pretty intimidating, like kind of scary. So I would 100% get why people would want to stay in that like comfort, I guess. Not saying it's easy, it looks bloody hard, but I understand why people would do it, but it's not something I'm looking to do. The next question, which I thought was really sweet, is will you be staying in touch with your uni friends? Now it's kind of a hard one, because for me personally, my like university experience was a little bit different because I took a year out to do a placement. So then when I went back, some of my uni friends had done a placement with me and some of them hadn't. So it meant that some of my friends had already graduated, so already like kind of like the distancing between people's lives and like trying to meet up gets very complicated, because some people are in full-time work, some people at university. But I guess the answer is I'm going to try my hardest. I have two like best friends from university, which I hope I'll stay in touch with for like ever. But as I'm just said, it's very difficult because you all are in the same place for uni, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to stay there to do your job. So one of my friends has moved back to Kent, which obviously is quite far, quite an effort to try and meet up, and she's in a very demanding full-time job, whereas I'm a student, so I have all the time in the world. So yeah, it's been a bit tricky to try and orchestrate a meetup. We were hoping to go on a girls' holiday this year, which unfortunately I don't think is going to happen, which is really sad. We have been on a holiday before to Ibiza, which was really good. I think that was like 2 years ago. So yeah, I'm hoping to stay in touch with them, but I know like life kind of gets in the way, and the friends that you're not as close with just naturally tend to drift. And I do usually find I'm the friend like chasing people up, being like, hang out with me. So we'll have to see how that pans out compared to like people's everyday lives, whether they've got the time and things like that. But I'm hoping to, but I'm not going to put all of my heart and soul on it, because you never know how people's lives are going to turn out and who's going to change and drift away and things, you know. The next question, which I thought was really important, is are you applying for jobs? And the answer is yes. So when I thought I was finishing on April 3rd, I started applying for jobs probably like a month in advance, which for London is pretty early, but I just kind of wanted to get myself aware of what was out there, what like what salaries people were having, and whether if anyone wanted me to go on an interview, and then at least if I wasn't 100% ready for the job, I could have that experience of the interview process, which I thought was really useful. So yeah, I started applying maybe like 3 weeks ago, and I applied to a lot, and I got 2 interviews out of that and a couple of like phone calls and things. So my rate of rejection is very high, but I think that is just because I was applying so early. I'm a graduate, I'm fresh out of uni, you know, there's a lot of things acting against me. And what I have actually found is a lot of the phone calls and interviews, they asked me how old I was, which you're not actually legally allowed to do because it's like age discrimination. So I would just say, like, if you are out there applying for jobs and interviews and things, just be careful of that. I have always answered it, which is kind of dumb, but then I've been like, oh, I'm 22, but are you allowed to ask me that? And they've always been like, oh gosh, no, probably not. And it's like, well, no for next time, please. So yeah, I am applying for jobs. At the moment, I've kind of taken a bit of a break just because obviously with everything going on at the moment, the events industry is kind of like crashing right now, so it's kind of chose the wrong industry there. But I'm really like hopeful that it's just gonna spring back up once everything is like slowly starting to recover. So yeah, I'm keeping my eyes open, applying like every 4 or 5 days to the ones that are there, but I have seen like a slow in the job offerings, which isn't surprising. It does like scare me slightly when you think about it, because it is just like such a time of uncertainty, I guess. So if you are hoping to get graduate roles and things, I completely get the stress and like the worry that goes with that, but I just think everything tends to work itself out somehow. Like I'm looking at this positively, like keeping a positive mindset. So yeah, we'll have to see, but I am applying for jobs. So far so good, and I will continue to do so. So the next question kind of goes hand in hand with my last one, but what jobs are you applying for? So as I mentioned, I'm doing events management, and usually when I say I'm doing events management, people's minds go to like festivals or the Olympics or Fashion Week. Kind of a dream, Fashion Week. Maybe one day. But in my head, events means corporate events. So I really want to work for like a big company, a big corporate company, whether that's in the finance sector, whether that's like a law firm, whether that's a retailer, and do their internal events, so their day-to-day events, whether that's like team meetings, training days, their slightly bigger events, so maybe that's like an away day or an away weekend or a Christmas party or a summer party or an awards dinner, and things like that. And maybe there's like some conferences in there that they do externally, like things can really range. So the kind of titles I'm going for are like event executive, event assistant, event manager, or like event coordinator, event producer. They're all called very different things, so I usually just type in event when I'm looking for jobs. Just anything that comes under that I'm fine with. I also would be open to office manager or like a PA kind of role, because that usually has a lot of event management within it for like smaller companies where they don't have a specified department yet. So yeah, I'm keeping my options pretty broad, keeping it quite open, just because I don't want to limit myself. Like sometimes you can apply to a job for something else, and then on the interview they see that actually your skills lie somewhere else, and you could fill a hole in the company in another department perhaps. So I'm really keeping my options open. Literally anything that says event in it I'm applying for. Just that way I feel like you'll have more luck with higher numbers, so the more I apply to, the higher chance I have of getting a job. That's kind of how I think of it. So I'm not being too picky at the moment. I will say the only thing I'm being picky on is the salary, which is kind of sounds quite snobby to say, because I should just be thankful for any job I get, but because I have put myself through these 4 years of university, I kind of want to get my reward for that. You know, I don't want to start off at like a 17.5 or an 18 grand salary, because I have the knowledge and experience that I've built up throughout university that I think will allow me to start at a slightly higher level. So I'm looking around like the £24,000 mark, which I don't think is too high. Like I was actually shocked. This is kind of like going off track, but I watched a video the other day of some guy guessing people's majors, which was so interesting, at like, I can't remember what university it was, Stanford University or something like that. And one of the questions was, what's your expected starting salary? And all these people, their starting salary was like 70 grand, 60 grand, 50 grand. Whoa. Events is much lower than that. Like 24 is a pretty good starting salary, and depending on what sector you're going into, so if it's like charity sector, it could be like 21, 22. If it's a big firm, like a law firm usually, or like a finance sector, they could start at like 27. So yeah, there's a big range within there, so I'm hoping for like somewhere in the middle, like 24, which I don't think is too outrageous. But yeah, so that's the only thing I've been like pretty picky about. Otherwise I'm just applying for bloody everything. The next question I find quite tricky is, what would your dream job be? And I really struggle with this just because I honestly don't know. I always feel like people have the most amazing like ambitions and goals and things. I guess mine would be YouTube. Like if I could do this full time, what kind of world would that be? Insane. Just because it is something I obviously genuinely love and have a passion for, so to do that every day would be kind of cool. But in like real world like job terms. Something within the events industry. I feel like the things that I like about YouTube can be converted to the events industry, so like the working from home, the flexibility, the creativity that goes into it, and kind of, I guess, like the computer based side of it, like the more analytics and editing and things like that, can be transferred to like freelance events management. I guess if I were to start my own thing, I could work from home, I could go in to London for meetings and things, and I would have a lot more of a creative input because it would be like my thing. So I guess that would be a dream of mine, but I don't know. I feel like it's too early. I don't know. Which I think, by the way, is completely fine. If you don't have a step-by-step plan of how you're going to get to your goal or what your goal is, I think that's absolutely fine. I'm just going to figure it out as I go. I haven't really started my career yet, you know? Like, I haven't entered the events industry. So I want to kind of test out the waters, see what I like, see what I don't like, see what avenues may exist that I didn't even know about. Like, there could be a job that would be perfect for me, that would be a dream role, which I don't even know about yet. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what my dream job would be, but I'm just going to keep an open mind, have a look into all the avenues and see what happens. The next question I know is a thing that a lot of people struggle with, and it's, are you nervous about going on interviews? And I'm really lucky in the sense that I'm not that nervous because I think I've shifted the way I think about interviews. I completely get an interview is a very vulnerable position to put yourself in, I guess, like especially if it's a job you really want. You're kind of going in to prove yourself to people that you don't know. So not only are you meeting new people, you've got to big yourself up, which not many people are comfortable with doing. You've got to like prove your knowledge about a company that 2 weeks ago you might not have even heard of before. It's quite an intense situation, and out of all that you're really hoping to get something out of it, so you want to make like a best first impression, which puts a lot of pressure on yourself. So you are going to be nervous, you know? But in my head I think about it as a discussion to see if I fit in with their kind of company culture and whether they fit in with what I'm hoping to achieve throughout my career or with my first job or things like that, whether they tick my boxes and I tick their boxes. And I obviously do my research before, I look nice, I arrive like 10 minutes early, I do all of the prep, and I am slightly nervous going into it, but as soon as I'm in the room I can kind of like, because yeah, I'm having to talk about myself and big myself up and try and squeeze myself into those boxes, but at the same time they've kind of got to do it too, because I'm not going to put myself in a job role that I don't like, if that makes sense. So in that sense it puts a lot of it back on them as well, so you're kind of in the same position, you know, like they're looking for something, you might have it, but you're looking for something, do they have it, you know? So it becomes just a conversation, and that's a lot easier. I guess it helps that I am a kind of people person, like I don't mind meeting new people and having new conversations, so I think that does remove a lot of like the nervousness and anxiety towards that. But yeah, at the end of the day it's going to be like an hour of your day maybe that you've just talked to someone new. Maybe they like you, maybe they don't, but if they don't, I'm sure you'll have other interviews coming up, so focus on those. So yeah, I don't get super nervous because I think about it in that way, like if they like me, great, it was obviously meant to work out. If they don't, they're obviously not the company for me, because if they don't like what I'm saying or my personality or anything like that, or how I'm coming across, maybe that I wouldn't enjoy their company culture. So yeah, I kind of take it as it is. I don't take it too personally, like it's business, you know? I don't know, so I don't feel that nervous about it. I could do probably like a whole video on interviews, to be honest, but yeah, I don't feel that nervous about it, but I have been on a lot of interviews throughout my life, so I feel like I've kind of gotten used to the whole process of it, which definitely helps. The next question, it's a very popular question, is will you be staying in London? And yes, I will be. We have recently moved to East Dulwich. We moved here in January. Before that I've lived in London since I started uni, so what, like 4 years ago? And I lived in Greenwich for 3 years, then first by myself, then with a flatmate, or a housemate I should say, then with Christian for a year, and now me and Christian live here with another couple. So yes, I will be continuing to live in London. Christian has a job here in London which he absolutely loves. I'm hoping to get a job in London, central London hopefully, so it's not too much of a commute in. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes, but yeah, we're definitely going to be staying in London for the foreseeable future at least. I also think the events industry in London is obviously a lot bigger than in other places, so if I was to go back home to Bournemouth or things like that, the events I would be doing would be on a lot of a smaller scale. And I think whilst I'm young and I can live in London, why not go for it, you know? The next question is a huge question, and it is, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Now, 10 years, how old I'll be? I'll be 32. 32, where will I be? I have no idea. Maybe I will be, I feel like I'll be married by the time I'm 32, potentially have a kid, which is kind of insane to think about. And in terms of my career and things, I don't think we'll be in London anymore. We probably would have moved back down south to like Dorset, Hampshire area. And in terms of jobs, I reckon I'd be either an office manager, a PA, or doing freelance events. So doing like a more 9-to-5 kind of role, I think, because I honestly think events management and having like kids doesn't really work out very well, because events is like round the clock, 24 hours, like it's a very, very stressful job. So that can be quite hard to like balance. Some women out there are like superhuman and do it, but I guess I won't know until I'm in that position whether I'm one of those superhumans or not. But I'm completely realistic about the fact that I may have to like take a step back from the events industry and do either my own freelance stuff on the side or be in a more like office 9-to-5 kind of role for the like stability of it. So yeah, that's kind of my 10-year plan, I guess. But it's always weird to think about because you never know what's going to happen. Like, I could be living in another country, you know? It's just weird to think about. Creeps me out a little bit. I don't like it. The last question, which I thought was kind of an interesting one to finish on, is, are you nervous about the future? And I think I'd be lying if I said no. And I feel like most people would be lying if they said no. Like, it's just the unknown, you know, especially now with all of this stuff going on. No one knows what the future's even going to look like in like 5 months, 6 months. No one knows what the heck is gonna happen. And I'm in quite a vulnerable position in the sense that I do not currently have a job. My part-time role has closed because I worked at the O2, and the O2 obviously isn't open. And the industry that I've trained in for the last 3-4 years is taking a beating right now, so who knows how many jobs are going to be left at the end of it. So yeah, I'm definitely nervous about the future, but I'm not nervous in the sense like I do think it will work out. And I don't know if that's naive to say or if I'm just being blindly positive, but it's kind of hard to put into words. Like I think I will find a job at the end of it, whether that's in the events industry, whether that's more of an office role. I'm not going to be too picky with that, so I'm not really nervous about getting a role. I think I will find something, even if it's not my dream job, it will be something kind of like interim job until I do find that job. And I'm really happy with where we are, happy with the house that we're in, happy with our flatmates, happy with my boyfriend obviously. So that's all going pretty well. Happy with my studies, really happy that I'm finishing so soon, kind of nervous about that. So yes, I'm nervous because who knows what the hell's going to happen. Who knows where they're going to be in a year's time or anything like that. Like, there's a lot of question marks in my life right now, but I don't think that's necessarily something you should be scared of. I think that's the difference. Like, I'm nervous, but excited nervous, you know? Not nervous, like petrified nervous. But if you are either of those, like, I think it's completely fine. Like, it's kind of like a crossroads in your life. Like, choosing your first job could really like dictate which way your career path is going to go. So it's a big question out there for all these graduates who are currently facing today's world. So yeah, I'm nervous, but I'm not scared. Okay, so I've spoken for far too long. That is enough questions for me. Hopefully you have enjoyed this, and if you have, please hit thumbs up down below. And if you relate to any of these things or have any of your own opinions or like, I don't know, contributions, I guess, leave them in the comments below, because it would be cool to see what other graduates are thinking or other people looking for jobs, etc, etc, worried about the future and all of those things. But I'm currently posting 3 videos a week, which is quite a lot, so if you want to stick around and see more of those, hit the subscribe button, and hopefully I'll see you very soon. Bye.